The 1980s in America were a fascinating chemical experiment disguised as a decade. Hair was bigger, shoulder pads were aggressive, and personal responsibility occasionally took a coffee break. Nowhere was this more obvious than in what people drank. The beverage industry during that era seemed to operate on the guiding principle that if something was colorful, sugary, fizzy, caffeinated, or potentially explosive to the human metabolism, it deserved a spot on the shelf. Regulatory agencies were present, of course, but they were often one scientific study behind a can of neon liquid promising energy, happiness, or both at the same time. Fast forward to today, and many of those once beloved drinks are no longer available in their original form. Some were outright banned, others were quietly reformulated after lawyers, doctors, or lawmakers began asking uncomfortable questions. What remains is a liquid time capsule of optimism, questionable science, and marketing slogans that could only have worked in the 1980s. Looking back, it is impressive that an entire generation survived this era armed only with BMX bikes, cassette players, and beverages that would now cause an FDA meeting to be scheduled before lunch. One of the most infamous examples is original Four Locos' spiritual ancestor, though the 1980s had their own caffeinated alcohol experiments long before that brand existed. Drinks like Jolt Cola arrived with the proud declaration that it contained all the sugar and twice the caffeine. This was not a warning. It was the slogan. Jolt wasn't banned in the traditional sense, but its original formula raised enough health concerns that it was reformulated multiple times and eventually disappeared from mainstream shelves. The idea that caffeine content should be regulated rather than celebrated was still developing, and Jolt helped push that conversation forward, possibly while vibrating uncontrollably. Then there was Surge's even more intense cousin in spirit, Pepsi AM. Pepsi decided that what America really needed was a cola specifically designed for breakfast. It had more caffeine than regular Pepsi and was marketed as a morning beverage, presumably to be consumed alongside eggs, bacon, and a sense of existential dread. While not officially banned, the concept was quietly buried after concerns arose about encouraging children and adults alike to start their day with caffeinated soda instead of something less likely to make their heart attempt a solo escape. Modern nutritional guidelines would treat Pepsi AM like a historical artifact labeled "Do Not Repeat." Orbitz was another drink that felt like a prank that somehow made it past quality control. It was a non-carbonated beverage filled with floating gelatin balls, suspended in a sugary liquid that looked like a lava lamp. While not illegal, Orbitz disappeared quickly due to concerns about texture, stability, and the fact that drinking it felt like swallowing science class. Today, similar products exist, but under far stricter ingredient regulations and labeling laws. In the 1980s and early 1990s, the assumption seemed to be that if it didn't immediately violate known laws of physics, it was probably fine. Crystal Pepsi deserves special mention because it represents a time when clarity was equated with health. The idea that removing caramel coloring somehow made a cola better for you was accepted with alarming enthusiasm. While Crystal Pepsi itself wasn't banned, it symbolized an era of misleading health marketing that eventually led to stricter truth in advertising rules. Modern regulations are much less tolerant of suggesting that clear equals clean, pure, or nutritionally superior, no matter how futuristic the bottle looks. New Coke, while not banned for health reasons, was effectively outlawed by public opinion, which in America can be just as powerful. The reformulation was safe, legal, and carefully tested, but it committed the unforgivable sin of messing with nostalgia before nostalgia knew it needed defending. The lesson learned was not about ingredients but about consumer trust, which regulators now consider more carefully when companies make dramatic changes to established products. Original Mountain Dew formulas from earlier decades carried into the 1980s with ingredients that would later become controversial, including brominated vegetable oil. This substance was used to keep citrus flavoring evenly distributed, but studies raised concerns about its potential effects on health. Eventually, brominated vegetable oil was banned or restricted, and Mountain Dew was reformulated. The drink still exists, of course, but the version that once fueled arcade marathons and late-night television marathons is now a relic. Tab, the diet soda that launched 1,000 raised eyebrows, contains saccharin, an artificial sweetener that became the subject of intense scrutiny. In the 1980s, saccharin was linked to cancer in lab rats, leading to warning labels and widespread panic. While later research softened these conclusions, saccharin fell out of favor, and TAB eventually disappeared. Today's artificial sweeteners go through far more extensive testing, and warning labels are not added casually, no matter how catchy the soda's name is. Aspartame-heavy early diet drinks also faced increasing regulation. While aspartame remains legal, the amount allowed and the way it must be disclosed are much more strictly controlled. In the 1980s, diet sodas often leaned heavily on new sweeteners with enthusiasm that outpaced long-term research. The modern approach is more cautious, partly thanks to the enthusiastic guinea pig behavior of the previous generation. Caffeinated alcoholic beverages, while more associated with later decades, had early predecessors in the 1980s in the form of cocktails and pre-mixed drinks that blurred the line between stimulant and depressant. These combinations raised concerns because caffeine can mask the feeling of intoxication, leading people to drink more alcohol than intended. While not all were banned immediately, the groundwork was laid for future prohibitions, and many early versions quietly vanished as awareness grew. Sunny Delight, or Sunny D, appeared harmless, cheerful, and aggressively orange. Early formulations contained high levels of sugar, artificial coloring, and minimal actual juice. While not banned outright, regulations around labeling and ingredient disclosure forced significant changes. Today's version bears little resemblance to the 1980s original, which was less sunny and more sugar with a suggestion of citrus. Original Gatorade formulas also evolved significantly. Early versions were extremely high in sugar and sodium, designed for elite athletes but marketed broadly to children. While not illegal, increased scrutiny around marketing sugary drinks to kids led to reformulations and clearer labeling. The idea that a child sitting on a couch needed the same hydration formula as a professional football player became less convincing over time. Hi-C Ecto Cooler, inspired by Ghostbusters, contained artificial dyes that later became controversial. While the drink itself wasn't banned for its ghostly theme, some of the color additives used in similar products faced restrictions. The 1980s were a golden age for food coloring experimentation, and the long-term effects were not fully understood. Today, such additives are more tightly regulated, and some are outright banned. Original energy tonics sold in health food stores often contained herbal stimulants like ephedra. Ephedra was legal and popular in the 1980s, included in drinks that promised vitality and focus. Eventually, serious health risks emerged, leading to its ban in dietary supplements. Any beverage containing ephedra disappeared from the market, making these early energy drinks both a cautionary tale and a reminder that natural does not automatically mean safe. Carbonated wine coolers also had their moment. Loaded with sugar and marketed as light, fun alternatives to beer, they faced increasing regulation around alcohol content, labeling, and taxation. Some formulations were effectively banned or forced off the market when laws changed, particularly those that appealed strongly to underage drinkers. The 1980s marketing strategy of "make it colorful and hope no one asks questions" eventually stopped working. Original slush puppy syrups contained additives and coloring agents that would later be restricted. While the frozen drinks still exist, the formulas have changed significantly. In the 1980s, the goal was maximum brightness and sweetness, preferably in colors not found in nature. Modern food safety standards are less forgiving of electric blue mystery flavors. Original Hawaiian Punch was another sugar-heavy drink that faced reformulation due to evolving nutritional guidelines. While not banned, the levels of certain artificial colors and sweeteners used in the 1980s would not pass today's standards without adjustment. The punch is still around, but it is a tamer version of its former self, like a retired surfer who now prefers decaf. Squeezit drinks, packaged in plastic bottles shaped like characters, were a hit with kids. They contained artificial colors and sweeteners that later became controversial. While the product line was discontinued rather than banned, it would struggle to meet modern regulations without significant changes. The idea of encouraging children to drink neon liquid from a character's head is less appealing to regulators today. Original RC Cola formulas included ingredients and caffeine levels that later came under scrutiny. While RC still exists, it underwent changes to comply with evolving standards. The 1980s approach to cola formulation was more experimental, with less emphasis on long-term health data. Fruitopia, while more associated with the 1990s, grew out of late 1980s trends and contained herbal additives and sugar levels that later became problematic. Some formulations were pulled or reformulated due to regulatory pressure. The idea that a drink could be both a fruit juice and a philosophical statement turned out to require more oversight than expected. Original milk-based flavored drinks with raw egg content, sometimes promoted for fitness, also faded away. Concerns about salmonella and food safety led to stricter regulations that effectively banned such beverages from mass distribution. The 1980s fascination with natural protein sometimes ignored basic microbiology. Looking back, the common thread among these drinks is not malicious intent but unchecked enthusiasm. The 1980s were a time when innovation often moved faster than regulation, and beverages became a playground for bold ideas and brighter colors. Over time, science caught up, regulations tightened, and many of these drinks were either banned, reformulated, or quietly retired. The humor in all of this lies in how seriously these drinks were taken at the time. They promised energy, health, fun, or a combination of all three, often delivered through ingredients that now require warning labels or legal disclaimers. The fact that people lined up for them, drank them, and then went about their lives is a testament to human adaptability and perhaps a mild resistance to common sense. Today's beverage aisle looks different. Labels are longer, ingredients are scrutinized, and marketing claims are carefully worded to avoid lawsuits. While some might miss the wild creativity of the 1980s, there is comfort in knowing that modern drinks are less likely to double as unintentional science experiments. In the end, these banned or reformulated drinks are part of America's cultural history. They reflect a decade that valued boldness over caution and fun over foresight. Remembering them is both entertaining and educational, a reminder that progress often comes one ingredient list at a time.